Hey, hey,
Hey, Slobo. Um, Very good to have you here. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for hosting this space. Excited to get started.
Yes, absolutely. We are we are also very excited to talk about Nifty Chat. We're gonna give it a couple of minutes since it's only 12 o'clock right now. So we'll give it a couple of minutes for people to join, and then we'll get started.
Sounds great. So I'm gonna go on my tirade. Usually, I always feel like all these type of spaces should have like default elevator music while people kind of garner and gather.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that, but I can't decide what music to play, right? Do you have any suggestions? I was thinking classical music, but what would you suggest?
Well, I mean, I think the challenge for you is you have copyright problems, right? Because you put these as Spotify playlists, right?
Yes, I do. Exactly.
Have you heard of Audius.co?
No.
I think it might have rights. So basically, it's like Web3 music streaming. So they might actually have like the right type of rights to allow this. The other thing that I thought about is there's a couple of like music NFT projects. Like I own, this is definitely not financial advice because but like I own a couple of these like AI generated music projects, and I include them in like software because I technically own the rights. Or if you own the NFT, you own the rights, and they're like 30-second quips, so like they're pretty safe because as long as you have the NFT, you own the music, which I think is pretty cool and kind of a explored use case.
That sounds good. I'm going to DM you, and maybe you can send me the links to these two different options, and I'll review them. And I was actually thinking about picking something, but you're right. If I do pick like a song that has copyrights, it would be a problem when we publish it on the podcast. But that's a great idea.
Yeah, I just sent you, or like, I just sent you the link to Audius, and then I'll probably send you a link to one of these NFT projects. Again, uh, I bought it just because I thought it was novel, but I, I think
Sounds
financially,
cool.
it's one of those things. It's just like I buy a lot of stuff that's like just seems interesting. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be financially profitable.
Yeah, I can't wait to listen to some of those AI generated songs. And we have James already here, so I'm gonna get started. And for those who are requesting to speak, we will have a Q&A session right after the presentation in around 30 to 40 minutes. So please be patient with us, and we'll open it up to the audience then. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank you guys for joining us today. We are ENS Academy. Uh, our mission is to accelerate the adoption of ENS worldwide. We bring ENS experts and entrepreneurs to share their knowledge with the global community. Our goal is to educate, support, and empower anyone who can benefit from this technology. We believe ENS to be an open public utility that belongs to the community. ENS Academy aims to be the place where we can all learn the fundamental skills and possibilities of ENS. We have a forum that's dedicated to ENS. Please check out our forum. We have many great posts already, discussing all kinds of topics related to ENS. We also publish all our spaces to the podcast. We have on iTunes and Spotify. Today, we are honored to have Slobo.eth with us. He works with the ENS DAO, but he has his own project, Nifty Chat, which is a chat tool for the ENS community and for Web3 basically. But I think they already have about 8,000 ENS users, and I checked out the tool. It's just super cool, super clean. It's much better than Discord. I think when we launch our um, we're so used to saying Discord, right, for a community chat. But when we launch our chat space, we will opt in to use Nifty Chat. So, Slobo, I want you to please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, your background, like what got you into crypto, what got you into the ENS DAO, and then we can talk about Nifty Chat.
Great. That was a wonderful and warm introduction. And I love the way you frame what ENS is. And one thing I like to say that ENS is a public good. But now to answer your direct question, yeah, so I'm Slobo.eth. Glad to be here. And my background is actually in like fintech and marketing before I discovered Web3. And the thing that actually like pulled me in to Web3 and kind of made me start Nifty Chat was ENS. And this might be surprising. Today is September 12th. If you look when I registered Slobo.eth as an exercise to the reader, you're going to be pretty surprised because actually it was exactly a year ago. It was like actually September 11th, but I'm going to fudge it a little bit. So exactly a year ago, I bought Slobo.eth. And Slobo comes from the fact that all my friends, when I was a kid, used to call me Slobo because my last name's Slobotnik. And it was really obvious that that's the name I would choose for my Web3 identity. And anyways, my journey started. I go on, I try to buy Slobo.eth. It was kind of cumbersome. I was kind of scared. That's why I think like you guys are so useful from a resource perspective, because when you're not a Web3 native, so much of the MetaMask and like the interaction and even like buying ENS is so complicated. It's like scary, and you're dealing with money for the first time. Now I have like 200 transactions. I don't even think about it, though I do check the transactions before I approve them. That it doesn't even like trigger anything at me. But a year ago, I remember like the fear and anxiety of like actually interacting with a Web3 application. So I did that. I bought Slobo.eth, and then I went to OpenSea. And when I went to OpenSea, I did that one-click login, and it was just the most magical thing I've ever really experienced. Like I clicked, I connected, and I know I'm like talking about the basics here, but seeing the fact that my identity of Slobo.eth, my nickname, my global username, came with me to OpenSea, and that account was automatically created for me, and it was mine. It just like it kind of flips the model of how the world works for me, because I spent all my life in Web 2, and I was just like, oh man, this is so awesome. This is how like everything should be. Like, can I talk as Slobo.eth from from my identity, right? Like the moment you have your identity, you want to talk from it. So I was just like, okay, talk from Slobo.eth, talk from like global username, and I'm like, wait a second, there's like nothing like this out there, and it's just so obvious that that's what it should be. So it was like the first thought that I had. Then at the same time, I've been so passionate about like Web3, and like, when you first like fall down the rabbit hole, you're just like, you're a little bit insufferable. So I kind of forgive others, and I hope my friends have forgiven me by this point as well. And I was like trying to bring him in, and like one of my buddies, I brought him in, and obviously they start degenning into NFTs because this is 2021, and that's just what you do, and I can't blame them. And he gets this message, says like, "Hey, Mint, now you've been selected," and he gets scammed out of like $300 because he fake minted. And I'm thinking, and like I said, I worked in fintech, and actually I worked in like lending and consumer lending, so it was really important to understand your identity. And I instantly saw that the reason my friend got scammed is because someone impersonated somebody else. And at the same time, I have Slobo.eth, which can't be impersonated. I can't chat from it. Discord is full of like scam and fraud to the point where like projects don't even let you like DM the mods, and they say, I will never DM you because you can't really trust anyone on Discord. And so this is kind of a really long-winded way of saying that once I kind of connected those two, it's like, hey, this is my global username, and I can stop fraud by creating like a community chat that we deserve. That was the like nexus of idea for Nifty Chat. And then I was like off to the races, and made a demo, presented it to an ENS workshop, won it. I won $1,000. and was able to build a deck and raise some initial capital and build out Nifty Chat to what you see now. I know that was really long-winded, so love any questions or clarifications there.
No, I mean it's this background is so good for me to see because it's inspiring, right? Like you just need an idea and to solve a problem that we're all facing. I really like that when I logged into Nifty Chat, it just took my username, my ENS, right? LuckyRando.eth, and it just shows it when I post anything, and I didn't have to do anything except connect my wallet, which is just so powerful. Yeah, we do have questions for you, but I want to first kind of break down the tool itself. So tell us about Nifty Chat. What is it trying to do? Um, Tell us about some of the features that it has, and maybe a little bit about the roadmap for 2020 and early 2023.
Sure, absolutely. So, like superficially, Nifty Chat is a Discord killer slash alternative. So everything that you can kind of do in Discord, you will be able to do on Nifty Chat eventually. You log in, you can create communities with your friends, but this is where it gets kind of better. Anyone with an ENS name can create a community, and in that community, they can create rooms. And you'll notice that I'm calling them communities and rooms because I think that's what Web3 is about. It's about communities. And once you have a community, you want like a little like niche place to hang out. So I call them rooms instead of servers, which is such a kind of cold terminology from Discord. So number one. Number two, you can create these rooms that are going to be gated based on your NFTs, or gated off of a POAP, or gated off of an allow list. But that's like built in natively, and you don't need to use a bot to set it up. So those are like the key features of Nifty Chat. Additionally, while you're in Nifty Chat, you can message any Ethereum wallet and they'll be able to retrieve their message. And that's kind of, I wouldn't say that's novel. There's a couple, I'm not going to pretend that there's not other applications to do that. But because I already have the community chat, I can do the wallet to wallet chat right in there, and it's more convenient. And then, like, thank you for pinning that as well. Like, I'm working to get integrated to like partner sites like ENS Vision. So if you want to negotiate an offer with someone, that doesn't have an email associated with their Ethereum address, you can just click and just send them a message. And when they check it, you might actually get a deal going out of that. And this is still really early in development, and we have a couple of things coming down that pipeline as well. So to review, anyone can create a community. Everybody can add a room. The rooms are natively able to be gated by NFTs, POAPs, and ERC20 tokens, along with an allow list. So I recommend everybody checks it out. So those are the basic features. I think your next question, if you want, I can jump into like roadmap and where I think it's going, if you'd like.
Yeah, yeah. I also see some, before we jump into the roadmap, there's a community Twitter feed that we don't have that on Discord. It's pretty cool to be in the room and see like the latest tweets for that community. I mean, it seems like when you designed this, you had in mind the whole idea of creating communities much better than what Discord does. Discord is almost like a chat tool for gamers or for other types of communities, and it's not really custom designed for our needs. And yeah, this it's really exciting to kind of navigate. I recommend everyone here go ahead to Nifty Chat and just connect your wallet and check out the lounge, check out the tool, play around. You can also just start a community, discover other communities. Um, Please, go ahead and follow Nifty Chat for any updates. But yeah, let's jump into the roadmap.
Yeah, and actually, like, thanks for bringing it up. We've been building so aggressively that I sometimes forget to mention all the kind of features. But I think before I talk about the features, like, we have that GM button, we have those Twitter widgets, we have a snapshot widget. And I want to give a little bit of history of how we came up with it or how we think about future product iterations. Because there's the roadmap, but it's also like I want to show how we get there, right? So before starting the build process for Nifty Chat, I went through a dozen Discord servers and I cataloged every single channel in every single server that I saw. And I noticed that, let's say there was like 40 channels in a given Discord. Um, Many of them serve the same function. So, for example, every single server had a notification channel. Every single server had a bunch of language channels that were mostly empty. Every single server like either had a sales bot or a Twitter bot or something like that. So my idea was that bots and these slash commands that are great for power users of Discord, if you're thinking about the next 100 million people that are coming into Web3, I think they're going to want to prefer a GUI, and a GUI is like graphical user interface. So basically, something that's like point and click, right? That's how everything works. No one's really typing slash commands. That's why like the iPhone rocks. And sorry for the Android fans. And so that was my principle. Is just like, how do I change these bots into something that's like easy? Like right now in the ENS community, we integrated a Dune dashboard that shows you the most recent uh, .eth names that have been registered. So if you're a little bit of a degen and you want to get inspiration of what's being bought and sold, or what's being like registered, you can do that right in the community without having to go somewhere else. That's updated every couple of minutes or every 15 minutes. I don't really remember. Uh, so roadmap. That's how we got to where we are now. The roadmap is basically doing everything we have now, but just a little bit better, like improving the performance, releasing an iOS app. We're debating, and maybe folks in the audience can comment, of releasing even a desktop app, because the biggest like drawback currently is the lack of notifications. And I know everybody hates notifications of Discord, but it is a necessary feature that we currently haven't built in. So it's very easy to miss messages because there are no notifications. Discord has too many. We don't have enough, and by not enough I mean zero. So, which might be like nice when you come in there and it's nice and quiet and you're not overwhelmed by sound. But we need to find the right balance, and the balance is definitely going to be less than Discord. So those are really the primary things that we're focused on. And actually, I'm kind of reminded about one more thing that makes us fundamentally unique, and something that Discord, I don't see any way they can replicate. Every single message that you send on Nifty Chat is signed. And what does the signing mean is that if we wanted to like export that message, there's a history that this message was sent by that specific wallet. And that's the power that it potentially allows us to open up, like a universal backend, so other folks can build on top of Nifty Chat. Now that's a little bit further down the line, but that's what we're thinking, because we don't want to be just another chat app and create like a siloed experience. We want the data that is meant to be public to be exportable and controlled by the user, and that's where a lot of like the deep tech of Nifty Chat is being focused in. So yeah, I'll pause that. Any questions there, or comments?
Oh, I mean, I really like your vision and giving that kind of power to the user, and you want it to be more kind of like open source where people can build on top. And I can't wait for the app, because I mean that's just going to streamline everything for me. But yeah, James, do you have any questions?
Yes, I put together some thoughtful questions for this space. One question I have is, if we take a step back and we think about, the billions of users in Web 2, right? Like, let's say we just focus on social media. There's like 5 billion people on some social media platform. How do we migrate, or what might be some catalysts that bring adoption from Web 2 to Web 3, because of all the inherent advantages that dApps have? What might be some catalysts that you see?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and you're right. It is very thoughtful. Uh, I think the challenge with onboarding people to Web3 is that it is pretty scary, but it doesn't have to be. And the reason it's scary is because you're dealing with money. But with things like Nifty Chat and POAPs, the way I think of like getting another influx of folks in is you can basically tell people, hey, create a temporary wallet. Create your first wallet with MetaMask, right? Don't put a dime into it. Um, Maybe create like an educational POAP that you claim when you pass a course. Then use that wallet that has no value besides that POAP to log in into NiftyChat. And what that will allow folks is to experience a smell or like a little piece of Web3 without any financial things at stake. And once people experience, sort of like the way I experienced, like for me to experience Web3, I had to buy an ENS name, pay some like ridiculous gas because gas was 100 and ETH was like 3,000. But if we can lower the price of entry to free, I think that lets people like taste it and taste it at their own pace. And companies like NiftyChat are so critical to that because the moment we expose them of logging in with your wallet and now you're chatting from like 0x5657FE02, they're like, well, I don't like this. This guy has like slow without ETH. How do I get that? And all of a sudden, your step two is like, okay, you can buy an Ethereum name service name. How do I do that? And because it's like, a Web3 community, we're like helpful. And obviously, I'm an ENS steward. I work with the DAO, for the DAO, depending on how you want to say it. We'll be able to kind of level up people's expertise one at a time. And because there's these wonderful programs and wonderful people in ENS, such as like Validator.eth, who gives away names, there's a chance that someone can experience a lot of what Web3 has to offer with nothing financially at stake. And that's like, coming from the fintech industry, that's just like mind-blowing how much generosity there is. And that's how I think you get the next, I say like, I'm here for the next 100 million people. And I know that friction and fear are the enemy of adoption. So therefore, I want to lower that friction, lower the cost. And because there's so much support from like wonderful like protocols like ENS, and because NiftyChat is happy to support this, we can like level people in. You chat from your wallet first, you have a pull-up, you see it, you get a little bit of the magic, then you get kind of like, oh, I want that, and now we gift you an ENS through like ENS Fairy or things like that. So that's how I think we can level up adoptions where the right apps actually expose people and show the magic that's possible while providing a safe and secure environment that is not always possible in the Web 2 world.
Yeah, I think those are excellent points. And I would just add that I'm also excited about when mobile plays a bigger role in Web3. I think that could be a massive catalyst for adoption as well.
Absolutely. And I do think there are some challenges like, we're working through, we have like a test flight app and, which is like the precursor to releasing an app. But I've seen that the way the Web 2 world, like I'm a huge fan of Apple, but their app store, like I think if you have your OpenSea uh, application, it's actually hard to buy because then they want a piece. And I probably should look into this before talking about it. But like, I'm very curious how Rainbow Wallet was able to allow people to buy ENS without giving Apple their cut. Because I think that's where I kind of get a little bit nervous about the Web 2 world not playing really well with the Web 3 world, because any financial transaction, somebody wants to take a cut of that. And obviously, like Apple built a good ecosystem and they deserve some cut, but you can't charge 30% on an NFT. That makes no sense.
I would love to hear your thoughts on your vision for ENS, how you see it evolving. So, do you feel that the primary use case will be first and foremost identity and single sign on? Or do you feel a bigger use case, a more practical use case, is replacing the long wallet address to solidify sending, receiving value without any potential errors? How do you see the evolution?
I mean, I think like the crux of almost everything we do in this world is our identity. So I think even if it's just single sign on, it's sort of like that's like foundational infrastructure. But I'll go a little further. Like the name wrapper that has been talked about is coming, which basically allows you to take something like Slobo.eth and wrap it up as an 1155 token, which lets you have like effectively like infinite subdomains that are going to be fairly cheap or almost completely free. And that's going to allow like novel use cases. What's a novel use case, for example? Like I own, or I should say NiftyChat.eth, and the company owns NFTY .eth, so a four-letter name. And in a way, I bought that because I want to give people unruggable subdomains. So now when users come in, I want to give them something to use NiftyChat. Once the name wrapper is out, and when this is part of the roadmap, I'm going to be able to provide free usernames to free. I haven't really figured out the monetization. They're probably going to be free, at least for the first year, to anyone who logs in. Another way, so not about NiftyChat, I can have like NiftyChat.eth give away subdomains to my employees and myself, so people can have another form of identity that's less tied to Gmail, that's less tied to these other systems. And as the network kind of builds up, like it's like it like almost breaks my mind of what's possible, because everywhere you go right now, whether it's Instagram, your bank, everywhere you go, there's some username, and you have password managers, right? That's just like logging it, and just the convenience of having your own name that you kind of bring with you to all those services, and the simplification of your life that results from it. Uh, that's really the grand vision. It's sort of like it just has to do what it says it's going to do, and it's going to add a tremendous amount of value to basically the world, right? And to applications that build on top of it, like NiftyChat, as I mentioned.
Well, a lot of people in the ENS community are really very excited about the name wrapper. One question I have, and it's something that I kind of have been grappling with in my mind, is if we imagine mass adoption of ENS, right? Like if ultimately billions of people will have Web3 identity in the metaverse and so forth, what portion, how would that be divided between the primary domain versus a subdomain? Like what, will the majority of people use a subdomain? Like, I don't know.
I mean, my guess will be that subdomains, like, it wouldn't surprise me if a year from today, subdomains far outnumber the primary domains. Today we have like 2.3, 2.4 like million names registered. A year from today, you're going to have like 5x the subdomains, or some like unimaginable number of subdomains versus the primary domains, because if they're implemented correctly, they could be effectively free, and free and then like like there's only one Vitalik, and like there's only one Slobo.eth, right? Like you need subdomains, and there's going to be like mini communities that are going to be formed off of those. Or like one of the design principles of NiftyChat that, and I think deeply about identity, right? Like sometimes I'm Alex Slobodnik, which is like my legal name, and I sign my docs, and I'm fully doxed. And sometimes I want to be pseudo anonymous, where like I want to be like my Web3 version, which is Slobo.eth. And occasionally I want to be someone completely anon, because I want to experience different areas of Web3 that I don't necessarily want to tie. I want to dive into a community and see, what is this about, without necessarily connecting it to my primary identity. And once I kind of check it out, I'm like, okay, are these people cool? Did I vibe with them? Then I pull back. And that's the other principle, is like, I certainly expect the vast majority of people to have multiple identities that are all separate, so they can try different things and kind of free people to experiment, so they're not suffocated. Like one thing that I'm just gonna say pissed me off about like Facebook, is they had this real name policy, and it just suffocates how you can express yourself, because sometimes you want to go somewhere else and explore a different part of yourself and a different part of the community to see if it's your place. And only once you're comfortable do you start kind of connecting to your primary identity. That's the other part of like NiftyChat. You switch your wallet and everything changes. Your experience is completely different. Like this wallet has a Bored Ape and all these NFTs and maybe all this DeFi. This one is more like a one-on-one collection, and the kind of experience you can kind of craft on a per identity basis that's what excites me about ENS, is that the cheaper and the easier it is to create identities, the more exploration individuals can have, and the applications that are built on top of Ethereum should empower that versus like stifling you like the traditional web place where like, oh no, you can't have more than one identity. No, you can. We just have to control the negative aspects of that, like spam and spoofing, which Web3 does pretty well inherently.
Yeah, I'm starting to see your vision about the potential of subdomains. It removes so much friction, right? It removes friction, it removes cost. It's like, boom, here's your subdomain. Now you're part of this community, as opposed to the individual steps you would need to get your own .eth address. Yeah, it's starting to make sense.
Yeah, like for your like for ENS Academy that you might create, kind of expand your or I think this falls within your mission, is that you can create something like uh, learners.ensacademy.eth, and then everyone who comes in, they get a free subdomain of your subdomain, that they're part of this like class of folks that you might want to teach all in one group. And because they all come from a certain subdomain, it becomes trivial to, let's say, set up a room on Nifty Chat or where it's gated based on like, okay, this is the class of 2022, and it's gated off of your subdomain. It, to me, that's just like so obvious, and it makes so much of the management easier, because like the current applications where you have to set up a bot, they're just so heavyweight that it requires a certain level of expertise that people are like, I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to have this Telegram, and once you have more than 12 people, it's just like a mess. You miss something, and like you need community, but you want to make it easy. And though like Web3 is not really known for making anything easy, I do think that as the UX of like having a digital like a wallet improves, like Web3 is just gonna like destroy Web2, because it is a fundamentally better user experience, like at the limit, if you will.
Yeah, and I think my
No,
co
go ahead, James. I'll wait for you to finish all the good questions you have, and then I'll comment.
Okay, I was going to say, so if we imagine a world in which there's this broad-based usage of subdomains, how does that impact ENS? Like, how do you see the evolution of ENS in that sense?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people talk about, like, well, if someone's minting like a million subdomains, should the ENS DAO get some kind of revenue for that? Like my current thought, the answer is no. Uh, because in the end, the more utility you add to the primary ENS name, the more incentive there is to mint it. And just for like reference, I'm going to assume that every single name costs $5 to register for a year, which is not, that's not technically true, but effectively it is. So if there's 100 million names that all have a lot of utility and there's subdomains built on it, sure, it's only $5, but that's $500 million in revenue. And uh, that's a decent amount of revenue to support the ecosystem. And I think it's important, and I suspect many of the other delegates and stewards might probably agree with me here, is that we're not like the ENS DAO is not a for-profit entity. It's not a commercial entity. It's not backed by VCs like Nifty Chat, right? So it just needs enough to make sure it grows itself. So it's not going to be like rent seeking to kind of destroy the growth before it needs to. And in the way, like there's 100 million .coms. I think ETHs actually have more value because you can use them in more ways. So if you have 100 million names and they cost $5, that's $500 million of revenue every single year. And $500 million of revenue is, you could do a little bit of stuff with that.
Yeah, I totally see what you're saying, and it's just for me, it blows my mind to imagine that eventually everyone will need either a subdomain or a domain. The thought of using a long wallet address in the future just doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Um, I just wanted to go back to something you talked about before about how identity is so key in Web3. Since you're kind of on the front lines of what's happening in Web3. What are your thoughts on SBTs?
SBTs. I don't know what that stands for. Or are you talking about? Or is that Soulbound?
Solana tokens, yeah.
Yeah, I think like I think they're I think like soulbound tokens, there's like nuance to it. So for example, one thing that is kind of like soulbound E, right? I always thought that let's say I'm gonna use a Bored Ape. Let's say I mint a Bored Ape. It'd be interesting if I could sign, like when I mint it, it's obviously known what address did it, but it would be great that like minted by Slowo and that's forever, right? Which is a form of like soulbound tokens. I think the concept is always like been there, just someone put a name onto it, right? So I think there's probably a place for them. I think the way it's sort of like it could be evil, it could be good. It just depends on execution. And also it's just like I think it's still kind of early to tell how they're going to be used because so that's kind of my maybe not overly in depth comment. Like I thought about it, I'm like I don't see anything against them, and I can see how they can be weaponized, and I can also see like occasional good usage of like, hey, like I was the original minter of this, and there's like some kind of storage of it. But in the end, like if some bad actor like starts using them, you could always like take care of those problems on the app layer, right? Because it's like right now, like I get a bunch of tokens sent to me, and I get a bunch of like scammy NFTs sent, even though I have like 1,000 Twitter followers. And when I'm on when I'm on OpenSea, they just filter it out, and their API would probably allow you to filter it out. So like, mm, if 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 things are bad enough, like I think the app layer will just like take care of like whatever the intentions are, even if it's there. Just because like everything in my wallet wasn't put there by me, so like apps know not to like over index on the things that are not attested by something else.
Yeah, those are great points. I totally agree with you. And it's such a new and developing area that it will be really interesting to see how it unfolds with actual use cases. My last question would be is this is a great time. This is like the best time to be building, right? Like all the tourists have left, and it's like the builders that are heads down building in Web3. If you think about past cycles, and if you think about where we might be now, like how do you see where we're at? Like, do you see signs of things picking up, or do you think that we're still in for a bit of a haul? Like, just some macro thoughts.
Yeah, like I think if I knew with any kind of certainty what the macro was, I probably wouldn't be a Web3 social founder. I'd be a very successful hedge fund trader. And like I can just tell you my personal view is that I try to construct my life in such a way that the economic movements of the coin going up or down are uh, like it's just like every moment I think about price action is a moment I'm not thinking about the product and the users and how to build better. And I'm not immune, right? Like everybody's got a little bit of degen in them. But like honestly, I just, I don't think I have any special knowledge, and I just truthfully just don't care what what happens. All I know is that Ethereum, like I'm building my life and I'm building the company on the fact that I'm very confident that Ethereum is going to be around in 10 years. And if it is around, it's probably going to be more valuable than it is today. And anyone who's here today is probably going to do okay. So the first thing you got to do is survive. And the way you survive is by adding value every single day in small ways and big ways. And as long as I do that, I will go to sleep happy. And whether I become successful from a financial perspective or not, every day I can sleep well. And I think any kind of focus on the price, and like you kind of probably hit a nerve here, is it's just so value destructive because there are brilliant minds that are focused on figuring out, is the price going to go up or is the price going to go down? Where the same brilliant mind could write a blog post, start a company, build something, and actually add value to one, if not a million people all at once. So I I wish I was better at ignoring it completely, but I try to minimize my focus on that as much as I can because it's just not productive.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's hard to ignore it completely, but best to just keep building.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, Lobo. You guys heard it here. I love that perspective. I mean, that's what ENS Academy is trying to do. It's just to provide value and build. And Nifty Chat, you heard it from the founder. Like, it's going to be a tool that's just going to add value. For those who joined after the intro, please go ahead and try Nifty Chat. All you have to do is go to the website and connect your wallet, and it'll grab your ENS and create an account for you, and you'll be in the lounge. It has great features. You can create your own community, and what we learned today is that eventually, if you and I in my mind, I see this where like every NFT collection should be using this because eventually NFT collections are going to use ENS and issue subdomains with each NFT, hopefully with the avatar wrapped, and then they can create rooms that are token gated with these subdomains. So that's really exciting, and all the features that are kind of custom built for the Web3 ENS community is in the build in the development. So thank you, Slobo. We really love the tool. We are I just went ahead and created ENS Academy uh, um, on there, and so I'm going to be playing around and opening it up to the public soon. So, but I want to also open it up for the audience to ask questions. Slobo gave us great insights on ENS subdomains and Nifty Chat, and so please request to speak to Slobo, maybe give suggestions if you have questions. We will have about 8 minutes left before we close the room at 12:50. Slobo, you have anything to add?
Yeah, I have one request to your audience, and I'm gonna like send this to you. I'm gonna kind of call out positively ENS Punks. He tweeted that he donated to Nifty Chat's Gitcoin grant. So maybe if you can pin that, that'd be great. I just DM'd you. But yeah, so that's all I have. I'm participating in the Gitcoin grants, and I want to say that the widget parts of our platform is actually open source, so you can actually check it out. But it's still in early development, so we do believe in open source, and definitely parts of our platform is going to continue to be progressively open source, just like we're going to be progressively decentralized. But I'll open it up to questions now.
Thank you. Yes, I pinned the tweet. Thank you, ENS Punks. Punks has been an advocate for everybody in the community. I love him. So please go ahead and check out the grant and donate. And just a little note here: there's someone using ENS Academy's name, and it's not us. We don't have a Git grant, So I've received some messages that, hey, we donated to you guys, thank you for what you do, and I'm like, it's not us. But I'm not thinking they're malicious, but just keep that in mind if you find us on there, or if you find ENS Academy's name on there. 3402, you have a question?
Yeah, and I also pinned that to the top. I didn't see your pin, but that's up there as well. Thanks for having me up, ENS Academy, and this has been an amazing space. Thanks, Lobo, for sharing with us and explaining Nifty Chat. I think it's an amazing chat tool for the community. I do have a question. Will you possibly be integrating a voice chat so we can do something like Twitter Spaces on it?
Yeah, I mean, I would like my short answer is yes. My like more nuanced answer is it's going to take time to do that, right? It's like I'm a team of four, right? It's me, my co-founder, and two other people. So like the challenge of early stage projects is that you just have to pick and choose what's most important, and that's probably on a 2023 type of roadmap versus this year. But I would love to have that, and I would love to have integrated like voice chat while texting, so you can kind of communicate while we're talking rather than have these disparate different platforms.
Great. Well, thank you for answering, and thanks for having me up.
Thank you.
Thank you, 3402. If we don't have any other questions, I'm gonna wait a minute or two for the audience to request. But if we don't have any questions, we really thank you, Slobo. You've been a great advocate for ENS, and I look forward to meeting you in person and at DEF CON. It's going to be very exciting. I think you mentioned that in in real life events where we meet, that's where the real connections are built. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and it's I just just kind of my ask to you, like, yeah, I'm looking forward to DEF CON. I'm looking forward to all the in real life connections where like the magic can happen. And then I think Nifty Chat has been like showed enough. I want to say that folks should also check out the ens.domains and check out the forums, participate. For example, in 15 minutes, I'm going to be running I run weekly ecosystem calls for the ENS DAO. Everybody's open to join. You can kind of find the events on the forums. So I just encourage everybody participate, learn, talk, and keep your spirits up if the price is something that affects. And I will say I am very excited about this thing called the merge. You might have heard of it, and I'm just like on pins and needles just to see like how it goes down, because this is so mind blowing that the core developers of Ethereum were able to accomplish this. I have to go on record that like I'm always just like in awe of the capabilities, dedication, and just sheer force of will that those folks have that makes all of what we do possible. And I can't imagine where it's going to be in the future. So yeah, I know I kind of trailed off there, but I just had to like think those, because I don't think none of us would have been here without their dedication and support.
Absolutely, we're all indebted to the Ethereum team and what they're building. I mean, what smart contracts enabled is just it's just so genius, right? And now when the merge happens, and if everything goes well, fingers crossed, we're going to see a lot more adoption by companies that that were worried about the energy usage and all of that stuff, and also worried about the merge not going well before they jump in. So I'm sure this going to help adoption in a major way. So we're on the edge of our seats too. We are indebted to them, and we're indebted to the ENS DAO team. I mean, ENS, to me, when I learned about it, I was mind blown. I was so excited. I couldn't stop thinking about it for weeks. So this is why we started the ENS Academy, is because I also believe that education right now is most important, because if you learn about the utility and extrapolate from there, you'll realize like, wow, this is going to change the world. It's going to enable anyone from around the world to interact with Web3 and build a brand for themselves around their name and receive crypto securely without any friction. And now, chat with each other. It's just awesome. So yeah, we don't have any more questions, Lobo. So I'm going to go ahead and end the space a bit early. But thank you so much. I will be uploading this to podcast, to iTunes and Spotify. Then you can share it with your audience so they can learn about your roadmap, the features, and kind of you don't have to repeat yourself so much. But yeah, thank you again.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Perfect. Thank you, James, and thank you for the audience for joining us. I'll be announcing a new space on September 19th, and it's going to be about ENS profiles. Pad.eth is building a tool, and I'll have the announcement published soon. Thank you, guys. Please follow us and share the space so more people can learn. And check out our forum. I'll be posting on our forum about Nifty Chat. And yeah, thank you again, and have a good day.